MS&T, Electric Boogaloo.
Is this our second season premiere? Like, do we have seasons now?
Well, I mean, I guess because it's like with the second season of the show.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm glad we got picked up again.
Season.
Our inter-season break was Josh and I watching the Muppet movie.
Yes.
While I was sick in bed
Moving
with the
right
flu.
along.
Yes.
Hi, friends,
Hello, Poppets.
Howdy, y'all.
and welcome to Muppet Sex and Trauma. I'm Sara Ezzat. I make the costume Codex videos on YouTube.
I'm Jack Kramme, editor / right-hand man for Passion of the Nerd and editor for Chipperish Media.
And I'm Josh Gosdin, and I really enjoy spicy food. Like, if it's going to be spicy, it needs to melt my face like an Indiana Jones villain.
See, I prefer flavor to spice. Like, I want cumin and garlic and lemon.
Yeah.
Like,
I love me
ooh.
some like mustard or curry. If it's just chili, just straight heat. Nah, man. Like that's
Yeah, give me straight
what's
heat.
the point? You're a spicy boy, Josh.
Damn right I am. And that's enough.
And that's enough.
Nailed it. Freaking nailed
Gotta
it.
say it.
You're a spicy
Welcome
boy,
back,
and that's
everybody.
enough.
Hey, welcome back. We are in season 2. We are here to talk about the second season premiere, Mind the Baby.
You.
Damn right.
Yeah.
Mind the Baby was written by Richard Manning and directed by Andrew Prowse, both regular Farscape contributors. When last we left our heroes, they were being pursued in an asteroid belt by a peacekeeper command carrier now belonging to Scorpius, who is determined to capture John for the wormhole knowledge in his brain. Moya had a baby gunship, who Aaron named Talon. Talon was stolen by the errant peacekeeper Krace, and Moya reluctantly had to starburst away with Zahn, Rigel, and Chiana. John and Dargo helped them get away by blowing up Scorpius's former base. The end of the first season saw them hanging in space, running out of time, with Aaron unable to get to them. And now, on Farscape. Dargo wakes from a nightmare to find that, contrary to his expectations, he's not dead. John says it's been a few days. Aaron picked them up and luckily found an asteroid with atmosphere. There's no food though, so she has been making regular foraging trips with her prowler. Cut to the prowler and we learn that it wasn't luck that brought them to the asteroid. It was information from Krace. Information he gave Aaron in exchange for enlisting her help with Talon. Cut to the command carrier and we learn that it wasn't even luck that allowed her to save the men from space. Scorpius let it happen to preserve John's life and the wormhole knowledge in his brain. But now he wants to find their hiding place. So he decides to try and flush out Talon and see if that helps. Somewhere else in the uncharted territories, Moya is anxious about Talon and insists on returning to the asteroid field. Pilot says they can return without being detected. Chiana and Rigel have doubts, but apparently Zahn doesn't, as she's taken up the Seek again and doesn't care at all about any earthly concerns. Back on the asteroid, John and Dargo are suspicious of Aaron, and John insists she tell the truth. She says he won't like it, but tells him anyway.
I told you wouldn't like what I had to say.
I don't, neither do I.
And Dargo knocks her out with his tongue. They argue over who is going to go confront Krace, but now they have a decision-making system. On Talon, Krace is talking to Scorpius. He's playing for time, saying he doesn't know where John is. So lying to both sides, are we? Enter a very angry John.
You want to have a midlife crisis?
Fine. Just ditch the firm, head off to Maui, shack up with the supermodel, but you do not get to keep the Porsche.
Who, after a struggle, drags him off Talon and back to Moya, who has just arrived. She is ecstatic to see John again, as is Rigel once they collect the others. Zahn is still in a weird place. She thinks John is a ghost, and when speaking to Aaron, she offers her general love, but in an abstract sense.
too rarefied for me. I'm just an ignorant warrior who believes that love means you're willing to fight and die for your fellow living beings.
Aaron calls her out on retreating into herself when the ship is in crisis, and everyone is needed. And it is in crisis. Talon is freaking out about being left alone without Krace. He's making a run for it in front of the peacekeepers. Moya, fearing for her child, chases him, scaring the kid even more. He starts shooting at his mother. He demands Krace back. Aaron tries to go with Krace. She wants to keep Talon safe, even if it means leaving everyone. Even if it means leaving John.
There isn't another solution.
There has to be.
But Talon only wants Krace, and expels her from the ship as he presents Krace with the Hand of Friendship, a neural interface plugging him directly into the ship. With Aaron off Talon, Krace calls Scorpius to finally deliver his resignation, and in a final flourish, claims to have killed John. With that, he starbursts off into the wild blue yonder. With Aaron back aboard, Moya starbursts away too, with no idea if she'll ever see her son again. Later, Dargo visits Zahn as she is setting aside the Seek to rejoin the crew.
The next level will always be there. This one will not.
And in Pilot's chamber, John comforts a grieving Aaron who misses Talon.
Be all right, won't he?
Well, he's young. And he's gonna make mistakes. But he'll learn.
Thoughts?
I like this one. I like it quite a lot, but I was mildly frustrated by some of the writing. Not enough to the point where it broke the episode for me, but yeah, overall, I liked it, and I didn't expect it to resolve the way that it did. I was actually quite surprised by what happened, especially towards the end there. Yeah.
Same, absolutely. They definitely should pull a Farscape on me and not go the way that I thought it was going to go. I thought it was going to be, rescuing Talon from Grace. Would have turned out that Talon was rescuing Grace from Moya.
It's a good way to put it.
That was a twist. Yeah, that was a twist.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it as well. I was a little distracted because I was definitely like marveling at the new aesthetics. They got a budget boost, it looked like.
Oh yeah, absolutely. The production value is considerably higher. Yeah.
Yeah. Dargo has lips now.
That was the first thing I noticed. Dargo just looks better. It's like he spent some time at the solarium too. He's
he was baking in space for a while.
Oh yeah, there's that. Yeah,
and this is sort of referred to as this sort of moon tan.
He is like Anthony Simcoe's eyes now.
Yeah, I was just about to say there's something. His eyes look clearer. Yeah, and even that scene where Scorpius gets a cooling rod or something inserted head. That actually looked pretty decent.
It looked really good.
Yeah. That we're gonna see that effect a few times. I think it's
okay.
It's very cool.
Dargo looked good. The Rigel puppet looked like we're in the chair. Chiana got new makeup.
Yeah, it's like they were like, oh, we might be onto something here, so let's spend a bit more money.
Yeah, that's what you get to do when you get renewed for a second season. But you also, if you write yourself off a cliff, you also then hand it to the next writer who has to figure out how to get it back.
Right.
So I think, personally, I think that Manning does quite a decent job of that here, because that is kind of a difficult task. It's like, so we have a couple guys stranded in space, and everybody's separate, and they considered doing they filmed an episode that was sort of going to be in between while they were away, but they ended up going, no, this is dumb. We'll see that one. We'll see pieces of it later. But like, no, we need to get back to the action. We need to get straight back to what happened with and get everybody back together. So that's what they do.
Well, they did, but they didn't. This was definitely an exercise in tell, don't show. how they rescued them was pretty much the equivalent of Oz being like, "So you're not wanted for murder anymore," and Buffy going like, "Dang, okay, cool."
Yes.
Aaron was like, "I
There
rescued
is
you."
quite a bit of that.
Yeah, I feel like there's elements of this episode for me at least that I think mostly resonant if they came later in the series, like even just a couple of episodes maybe.
Yeah.
But we'll get into that. Yeah.
Yeah, this is figuring out the sort of line between episodic and arc storytelling.
Mm.
It was, they raised some interesting questions in this episode that I'm curious how much they're going to unpack over the course of the season. Very similar to how we framed season 1 as being a lot about loss and about finding and creating a family and all that kind of stuff. So far in season 2, it seems like we're going to be talking a lot about attachment and what does that mean.
Okay.
Yeah, that's one of the things we will be talking about. So where should we start with our characters? How about
Sure.
Johnny Boy?
I'm not sure if I have a ton on John. What about you, Josh? Why don't you?
He was action hero John in this episode. He's still a little I guess afflicted or affected by his time in Scorpius's chair, because the whole like giggling while holding the gun at Krace moment was very like, I see we're still doing this, okay. How much of that sticks around, who knows. I really loved all of the scenes between him and Aaron.
Yeah.
From the like, and how many times we've been together, and she's like,
That was
crack me up much more than the rock paper scissors gag. But it, he just got to do his action hero thing this episode, and didn't seem to have much of like a character arc. Especially not compared to Aaron or Krace of this episode.
No, he's just kind of sitting at 9 or 11 through the whole thing.
Yeah. That's why I don't feel like I have a ton to say about him, because he wasn't really super important in this episode, I don't think. But I did one more. He and Aaron have such a close bond now that he knew something was up and she was hiding something. That was great. I really like that.
Mm-hmm.
And he knew exactly how to get it out of her.
Yeah. I do love her. You're not gonna like it. He's like, I'm not gonna like it, and tell me. Yeah. And I do not like it.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a very grown-up conversation while also being kind of manic.
A little bit.
Yeah. How about Dargo?
Yeah, no, Dargo for me sort of seemed like he seemed like the voice of reason a lot in this episode for me.
Marvel at that.
Yeah, I know, right. The hot head, let's fuck everything up guy is like the chill one, but I totally agreed with him when he's like, Krace cannot be trusted, and I'm like, yeah, you're right, he can't be.
He would rather go down on a swing.
He would rather go down on a swing.
I like that line. That was it. Yeah. I also loved John says something about Talon, and he's like, Talon, awful name. I'm like, yes, I agree.
Yes,
I agree.
Yeah.
I thought about you, man. I thought about you.
That was one of my notes.
Yeah.
I feel so. Thank you guys. Yeah, I was like, yeah, my boy. Yes, I feel you, man. Yeah.
Yeah, no, Dargo was good, and I did. Dargo was definitely there for the characters to reflect off of in this episode. John and Aaron and even Krace when they had their little moment outside of the cell in Moya's crew quarters, and Dargo was like, "I was happier than you could ever imagine," and it was like, "Yeah, you were, buddy." But
yeah, he's just so happy to be alive.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was also legit shocked when he knocked Aaron out. I wasn't expecting that. I didn't think he would do that.
So when I was preparing for our season 1 wrap up, when I was preparing for our and then I watched the premiere and Family Ties back to back, and he frog tongues John in premiere, and I totally forgot about that because he hardly ever did it.
Oh, yeah.
And when it would have come in really, that they actually remember that he has that ability for this season.
Or when they had the CGI budget.
Yeah.
I mean, either way, yeah.
Yeah, I'm very fond of him playing Paper Scissors Rock alone.
Yeah, that was adorable. There was said before there was something adorably childlike about that, and I love that juxtaposed with this like strong, like hyper masculine like warrior. It was really adorable.
And that is so kind of a sweet bonding thing with him and John learning.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Aaron. So
this is one of the things I found mildly frustrating. So we get the cut in the beginning to Aaron with Grace, and we get the ominous score, and I'm like, whatever, no, this isn't. You're not fooling me, man. This is no. Not for a second did I believe that she didn't have a reason, and of course she did, but I felt like there was something out of character about her trusting him though. Yeah, and I understand that it was a desperate situation and was probably thinking on her feet, but I feel like Aaron's smarter and much more guarded and careful than that. I thought she would have known that Grace was full of shit and she shouldn't trust him. And it just felt off to me.
I thought so too, until it clicked for me what she was trying to do. I think she was actually trying to pay forward what was done for her with Grace. I think she was trying to reform him the way that she got there.
Oh, that's gorgeous. I love that.
And so that's one of the moments of attachment that definitely came up, because it, she almost said it word for word at the very end when she and John are cuddling with Pilot, and he was like, people don't change. Really? People don't change? Really? I changed. Like right, she was trying to, I think she was trying to be a good influence on Grace. She was trying to do for Grace what John and Zahn and right. Pilot did for her.
I take it more as being about Talon. I love that reading, but to me, I've always read it as like she is sort of second mother to Talon. She named him, and like she will do anything. Like she's willing to go with Grace and leave. Like we can see at the end how much it tears her apart to leave John.
Yeah.
Even though they're not ready to have that conversation. But she loves Talon that much. She has a mother's love for Talon. And so she's willing to put up with this shithead to try and keep Talon safe.
Yeah.
And yeah, give him a chance to change as well. But also like, keep Talon calm, help him through this transition. Yeah.
Were things that there were just plot points that needed to happen, so they just found any old way to get there, I guess. I don't know. I get that she wanted to protect Talon, but there's just something off to me going there with Grace, like boarding Talon with Grace. I don't know. It just
needed
felt
a bit
like
more canvas.
Yeah. It just felt like it was something that just needed to happen in the plot, and just give me a bigger reason. I don't know. But again, it's nothing that breaks the episode for me, but it's just, I don't know, it feels a bit off. Yeah, as you said, need more canvas, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, just more in the sails, more. Yeah, more there.
More there. I mean, every time Craze is a peacekeeper. He's deserted the peacekeepers. It makes him more dangerous. Like Claudia Black was playing with this nonverbal really well, of just like, but that wasn't true for me. Like I stayed, I stuck around, and y'all helped.
Yeah.
And I'm a different person now than I used to be, and so like it was more and more like every time somebody said something like that, that was the next time that she went and had a moment with Craze or with Talon or with Craze and Talon, trying to like reach out for somebody who didn't want to be reached out to.
Mm-hmm.
Shall we take a wee visit over to Moya, to our group there?
Sure.
Well,
Don't know that there's a huge amount to talk about there, apart from
Yeah.
whatever is going on with Zahn.
Wait, do you mean
Zahn.
Moya the character or Moya the setting?
Moya the setting.
Okay.
Yeah,
Which includes the character.
I was initially confused about what was going on with Zahn.
I'm currently confused about what's going on with Zahn.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, no, I mean, at first I took it as this the hint of a darkness and chaos that's going on below the surface, sort of element that they seem to randomly drop midway through last season, and I really want to see more of, and obviously I assume we will, but throughout the episode I'm like, what is going on? Why is this? Until it sort of dawned on me that, I mean, I don't know if this is actually what was going on, but I had the thought that this might be a trauma response. Everything around her is going to shit. So rather than dealing with it, she shuts down and goes into this chanting. From what I understand, the Seekers trying to reach like a higher state of being, like nirvana in Buddhism, yeah. So I think she was it was an avoidant reaction going on.
All right, I'll cop to that.
Yeah.
That'll do for now for me for Zahn. Because I was watching it, and in my mind I was stitching together. This takes place like an hour after the end of Family Ties.
Yeah.
And so I was.
No, it's a few days.
Is it okay?
Yeah, it's been a little while.
Okay, so it's a little bit longer than I thought. Maybe I had it in my head as well. Then, in the middle of I don't know, The Great Escape or something like that, one of the characters just sat down and started to try to reach enlightenment.
Yeah.
And I was like, why? What?
It felt jarring, didn't it?
It really.
Yeah, because it's not clear that it has been, like John says, it's been a little while, like it's been a few days, but he's not sure because there's no light there. But yeah, it has been a decent amount of time. They think the folks back at the asteroid field are dead.
Initially, I had this thought of, wait, did I miss something in the finale? Do I need to go back and rewatch something? Because I didn't really understand why she was doing it and where it came from. I don't know.
Yeah, it is a messy bit in this episode, and it'll make a little more sense. Not a lot, but a little more sense when we get to the episode that has like the bits of like what happened while we were away.
Okay.
So was that okay? So then I guess that was the other thing I was going to mention. It seemed like the beginning of the episode was a flash forward.
The beginning of the episode is a dream.
Really?
That is not. I know that is not made clear, but
no,
and it took me ages to recognize it. That is Dargo's nightmare.
Oh, that makes so much more sense now.
That makes much less sense.
Okay.
He's like,
we're on opposite ends of the spectrum.
His nightmare is that they're all dying and calling out for him, and then he wakes up.
Definitely didn't realize that was Dargo's nightmare. I thought
neither did I for ages.
I thought that was a smash cut back to the present. I think a flash forward, and I thought that was the Fire Frog's ship. It looked like the Fire Frog's ship that was shooting at them, and I was like,
my
"Oh, cool!" And then they mentioned the Zelbinian.
Yeah, I was like, "Oh, sweet, we're getting straight into the action." But No, I guess not.
No, that was a dream.
Okay.
Yeah, that is. It is kind. It's not at all clear that is meant that is a dream. They sort of goofed up, definitely.
It does feel like a flash forward. It really does.
It really does.
Wow, okay.
Okay, so yeah, Zahn makes you getting some foreshadowing of her unraveling a little bit.
Yeah.
So yeah, it makes a bit more sense. It's like if it's like that's how Dargo is imagining Zahn without him.
What an odd choice.
A very odd choice.
I guess for me the best part about Zahn's story was her interaction with Aaron, and Aaron calling her out on her detachment. And you know, her like, I love all living beings, and she goes, then show it.
Mhm.
Like what does it matter if you love without being willing to do anything about it?
Yeah.
And you know, gets her back into the fray a little bit. And I really like that long shot when after Aaron calls her out and then leaves, and she tries to wave the crystal again, and it's the notes are discordant, tosses it down, and there's that long shot of her from across the room. I really like that.
Yeah, we have sort of a 3-beat of Chiana goes and it's like, oh, are you going to help? Are you going to help? And she's like, no. And then we have and then John comes and she's like, oh yes, you'll always be with me. You're alive to me. and then we have and then we have the 3-beat, the change is Aaron being like, no, snap out of it. And then we have a coda on that with Dargo at the end.
Yeah. The one to whom she's at this point most connected, most attached.
Yeah. So like that aspect was good writing. It just sort of like came out of nowhere. And
yeah, like contained, it was fine. Of the episode, it made absolutely no sense.
Yeah. Yeah. They just, so yes. And then everything else on Moya, I think we have Chiana and Rigel having spectacular reactions to everybody else arriving home.
Yeah, I've literally got nothing to say about them except for it was cute, and I love their reactions to John boarding the ship with Grace. Like, yeah, I don't have much
Chiana's
to say beyond that.
Squeal and jump is just so adorable.
It's through the air. It's like it's a hokey looking CG, but it's still cool.
And
I think it might be partly line work.
Maybe,
pilot,
yeah.
The pilot Muppet got an upgrade too. He can roll his eyes now.
Yes, and doesn't he need to?
Yeah.
But I love Rigel getting the inchons. I think the hyperventilating
spasm
strong
thingies.
emotions.
Yeah.
We've all been
it's
there.
just like, yeah, and he tries to deny it, which is adorable. Yeah, that's cute.
So that I think takes us. We could talk about Scorpius and Braca. They're brief and we don't get a lot of them, but we get a bit of.
I mean,
yes, I'm making you wait for talking about Grace.
The only thing I really have to say about Scorpius specifically is attached to Grace. I love that they have this back and forth as if they're playing chess. You know, there's very strategic, like idle threats and manipulations and stuff. And I thought that was really fun. It was really well done.
He was a little mustache twirly this episode. Scorpius was, got more of the fun bits of him, the cooling rod in his brain and the sudden voice change. And
that was cool.
All of that. Great. And the reveal that he and Grace were playing each other was also pretty cool. So like Aaron was playing Grace was playing Aaron, Grace was playing Scorpius was playing Grace. Zahn was playing with crystals and Dargo was playing with himself.
I think I might need that for the show notes. Yeah. No, those well summed.
Like good bits of
Yeah.
Scorpius, but he didn't really do too much except for menace from the shadows.
Exactly.
Are you
And
intrigued by the?
I mean,
Yeah,
you see
I
see
mean,
one cerebral cooling rod. You've seen them all.
yeah. I was though in the sense of, oh, what's this? Like, what is it? And yeah, I mean, it was a cooling rod. I don't know what the hell it was.
I just
Yeah, I
figured it
don't
was
know.
meant to show how smart he is. His brain is overheating.
Oh, yeah.
It is a cooling
maybe.
rod, yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I was intrigued by it, but my biggest thought was, wow, that actually looks pretty decent. Like
Yeah.
like yeah, which I like I'm used to giving the show allowances for some of its poor effects. But I was
The
like, wow,
effects in
that
this
actually looks
episode were
pretty cool.
fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah. The only other thing I have to say about Scorpius was I was a little, and again, this is related to Crace, but I was about Crace telling him that John was dead, because I think from a strategic standpoint, wouldn't it get Scorpius off Crace's tail if he told him that John was still alive? Because Scorpius then might go after John.
Yeah, but
Trying
is
to get
that more
Crace.
valuable than getting to tell him to? But then like telling him to fuck off.
I mean,
Like,
true.
just-
There's that.
Just the twist of the knife. Crace loves the dramatic twist of the knife.
Yeah,
Like that guy, that man
Yeah.
is nothing but drama.
that's fair. Yeah, I just think it was a very intentional writing choice. So I guess I'm just wondering what the reason for it was. Because it seemed very intentional.
I mean, Scorpius saw through it right away, and so at the very least,
Yeah.
either Crace miscalculated or Crace calculated perfectly and got Scorpius off his back.
Yeah. It's almost like he knew Scorpius wouldn't believe him, so there was
Yeah.
some sort of thing going on there. He was like sending him a message in some way, like say something without actually saying it, I guess.
I think he was just having fun. Like whether he believes me or not, I'm going to give this a shot just to,
Yeah.
be as dramatic as possible.
He's 100% that. He fixed his hair over the last couple of days, which I appreciated.
So yes, now we can talk about Crace. I've made you wait long enough.
Jack,
Craze.
has he met your expectations?
No, he keeps doing shit, and I'm like, what are you doing? What the hell? No, not yet. It's not yet.
Heel
And
a turn, and a heel and a turn.
it's looking less and less likely, to be honest. I'm starting to think maybe I was really, really wrong. So Crace, I'm going to really get a bead on him this whole episode. I really wasn't entirely understanding what he was trying to do. And then at the end, I honestly didn't quite understand why this is talking about another character, but Talon basically turning on everyone, firing on his mother, and then wanting to be best buds with Crace until I remembered that there is a point in the episode where like Crace says, like, your mother's abandoned you, and he says some other manipulative things. So I think it's kind of like again, I'm going a little bit ahead here, but from a thematic standpoint, it's like they're trying to do this almost like a rebellious teenager be someone that they trust who is actually a terrible influence on them.
So Crace. Oh man, our boy Crace. My boy Crace.
My boy Crace.
I am delighted as a viewer to see Crace return to his full villainous form. And not be quite so squished under Scorpius's heel.
Because Lani Tupu does it so funny.
Well.
He's such a joy to watch as a bad guy.
He does it so well, and not being forced into this weird like good guy alliance with him out of necessity in a way that didn't really feel all that sustainable, I guess. Like he and John had that great moment in Family Ties, and that was it. Like it was all still very much like him trying to do what he needed to do to survive. And so we're back to him standing with his hands over Talon's control center and being like, Talon, obey me now, Talon, I'm in command now. And it was just I was just like, yes, give me more of this grace. And the fight between him and Aaron was so perfect in and cheese. And I loved it so much. And like with a broken arm, she still kind of kicked his ass.
Yeah. I also love John's speech to him about don't go to Miami, screw the secretary. You do not get to keep the Porsche.
Yeah. And just like Lonnie Tupo's like rolling his eyes like, I don't understand anything you're saying.
Yeah. Also loved his last transmission to Scorpius, where it's just like, yeah, fuck you, man. That was great.
Yeah.
Such a good
every
delivery.
Opportunity to monologue dramatically with that skirt cape.
Yeah.
Like the coat with it's just
But he was such a perfect evil mentor. And so for me, the biggest, I guess, Farscape kind of twist of this episode was Talon becoming a secondary antagonist in this episode.
Yeah.
Born out of Talon is only a few days old, out of naivete and inexperience and manipulation and literally having someone inside your head whispering to you. It made a lot of sense. And the point at which Talon fired on Moya, I was like, holy shit, this is what I'm here for.
Yeah. It's funny because so when I said earlier, then I feel like there's parts of this episode that would have been more emotionally resonant if they'd come later. I was specifically referring to this, like Talon turning, because I think if we had got to spend more time with him, with the crew, helping the crew, then all of us we have this twist, it would have made me care more a little bit. Well, it's not that I don't care, but it would have made me more emotionally, I guess, hurt by his turn, because at this point, like we've had him for what, 2-3 episodes. He's like a couple of days old, as you said, Josh. So but still not bad. But yeah, it's funny. I was thinking how I was just like, Talon, what? This isn't cool, man. And then I'm like, wait, the writers have successfully made me angry at a living ship who doesn't talk, doesn't like that is testament. Like I'm actually angry at this ship. Good.
You said it really well too earlier, of like rebellious teenager, like cranking up the stereo and driving off into the dust.
I
and
definitely going and hanging out with his pot dealer or something.
I definitely agree that if Talon had turned later in the season, it would have had a more emotional heft. I was thrilled by the turn, but I wasn't like devastated by the turn.
Exactly, and I wanted to be devastated. But
I'm with you there, buddy. Sara,
this episode really crunches a lot in, and I think it would have been better to get more of a sense of the time that they have been together. I think because I think they have some time has passed, but it hasn't passed for us. So we don't really see that, Talon has had Krace walking around inside of him monologuing for days. And your mother does not care for you. Your mother abandoned you because I took you away from her and she had to get away to survive.
Exactly.
I'm not telling you that. And like, it just like everything about him cements the whole narcissist narrative for me, because at every turn, like I want to punch him when he's in the holding cell and Dargo is there and he is monologuing to process his own thoughts about Dargo's relationship in front of Dargo. Like, so he has to spew out what he's been trained, what he's been taught to think about interspecies, interracial marriage, so that yes, he talks about, yes, that I need to re-examine this. And don't do it in front of fucking Dargo. Like that, I think Lonnie Tupu knew what he was doing to be like, he is the white guy processing his feelings about racism in front of the people who are actually victimized by it. And like,
yeah.
I swear, I think Lonnie Tupu 100% knew that he was doing that.
Okay, I like that.
I'm with you.
Hmm.
All of Lonnie Tupu's decisions in this episode were spot on.
He's the more Crace we get, the more I'm like, this man is an exceptional actor. He's so good.
This is the
Yes.
Crace that I was wanting all of season 1. And now I get the meat and things.
And yes, Crace will return.
Well, sure.
Of course. I mean, of course, yeah.
Yeah.
If he doesn't, that's gonna be a big what the fuck.
Big letdown.
Yeah.
Yes, there's more to be. There's more story from these two.
And I'm really curious to see whether, you know, Talon's gonna turn back to the light, or whether he's gonna be an antagonist for the rest of the series. I don't know.
So the only, I guess, not maybe this isn't a betrayal so much as it is a terrible decision that I was able to, I guess, synthesize for myself as I was watching was, if the only other main influence on Talon has been Aaron, and Aaron trying to save Crace, maybe that was what Talon thought he could do as well.
Oh, right. He's
that's
getting
entirely
away.
That's entirely me reading in and pulling things out. I don't really.
I don't know
supports
what
that.
Well,
story is running in that maniac's head.
I like where you were going with that, but the thing that breaks that for me is Talon offering the friendship neural link thing, because that's probably going a step further, you know. But I don't know the mechanics of that, if he can break it whenever he wants. Or,
But see,
you
that
know.
was what cemented it for me, that Talon, Crace was like, Talon chose me. And I was like, yeah, but why? Like, did Talon choose to try to save you?
Yeah.
I don't really
like,
think the text supports my reading. I think this might just be wishful thinking on my part. But
Talon specifically wants Crace too. Specifically.
I would encourage you guys to think for a moment about Talon's experience when John was on board. What did Talon witness happening?
I mean, John essentially attacking and being rather aggressive. The aggressor being the aggressor.
Yeah, and Talon has had no experience with John.
Okay. So yeah, he's gonna see them as the bad guys, whereas at this point, Crace has been nothing but good to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fair.
And the other thing I would suggest is think outside binaries here. You're like, is he going to be good? Is he going to be evil? Maybe he's going to be neither. Maybe he's going to be both. Maybe he's going to do whatever suits him. He is the protagonist in his own story. And most people do not go, I'm evil.
That's true.
You talking about Talon or Crace?
Everybody in this story.
No, I mean specifically said he, which he.
Well, I mean, in the thinking that he's always the protagonist of his own story.
Yeah,
is most especially Crace, but I think it's also probably true of Talon.
Thank you. Yeah.
Oh, okay. What do you mean, Talon? But okay. Yeah, I mean, and I think
it is true of Talon too, but I think I don't know how that Leviathans have the most sophisticated like thinking in these sorts of things.
Especially like early in the series, Crace seems very like a lawful evil, talking about D&D what do you call them? D&D
alignments.
Alignments, that's it. Yeah. But he's more like like he's all about himself and doing the best thing for himself. So yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense, Sarah, when you think of it from that perspective, because a neutral person would be in it for themselves and do whatever is good for them in the moment.
Well, just generally, I mean, our characters don't tend to necessarily think about doing the noble right thing necessarily. Either John does, but he comes from our frame of reference. I think like the moral compass in this show is not necessarily good, evil, neutral, but doing your best for you.
Yeah.
Doing, thinking about your fellow crew members, or thinking about what is the right thing in the moment, or what do you need to do in the moment, because I think we got a lot of people with a lot of different moral compasses running around, and I think I know that it is more complicated than good and evil.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, I really don't want to spoil things, but
Yeah. Okay. You kind of just did, but all right. Like,
well, I mean, I'm just saying, think on a more complicated thing, and we shall see what they do.
okay.
Just on Craze too. I love the line, "You're gonna hunt." That would complete the symmetry nicely, wouldn't it? That was a wonderful line. I love that.
Yeah, that was definitely the writers talking to each other.
Yeah. Yeah. There's that there's also that scene where John and Aaron are talking. I think it's before she boards Talon for the last time with Crace, and she's basically saying, I don't have a choice, and John there's always a choice. And in my head I'm like, you have a choice. You don't have a good choice, but you have a choice.
I was waiting for when you get there.
I put it down on the bingo card myself.
Yeah.
She has to make a choice.
Yeah.
And if you choose not to decide, you still have made a choice.
Exactly. I like that, Josh.
It's not mine. It's Rock, but yeah.
and that is sort of what Zahn was doing when she was choosing not to make choices.
Right. Yeah. She was choosing to ignore it. She was choosing to shut down.
Which sort of, I think, choices is one of the themes in this episode.
Right, yeah, because even Talon makes a choice. Grace makes a choice. Everybody makes a choice, really.
That's why I think it's why I was saying that I think it's more complicated than good or evil is, because I don't think Grace chooses either.
Yeah, and I don't necessarily see him as evil anymore. Not Morpheus. I see him as I said, self-interested.
So to me, that's a brand of evil. Is selfishness, amorality, even is one way to be or behave evilly, weevily in a different way. So it's his narcissistic self-interest and his it's all about me and his midlife crisis and all that kind of stuff, and is all very much evil. And so of course he doesn't see himself that way, and of course the characters don't characterize themselves that way, but no, it's definitely that for my reading as I am at this point in the show.
Okay.
Perhaps it's a difference of how we view morality. I think I'm very much postmodern. I think that everybody has a little piece of truth.
Yeah, well, I mean, the best villains are villains that don't necessarily as evil, but also like you understand why they are doing what they are doing, as opposed to just mustache twirling, tying the lady up and putting her on the train tracks just to be evil,
Yeah, the villains who think that they're right, who think that they're doing, who are the hero.
Yeah, like Thanos, for example. I think is a great example of a good villain.
Yeah, I think if you write a good villain, they believe they are the hero of their own story. Actually, I actually think every character, if you write a good anything character. They are the protagonist of their own story.
Yeah, but I think it's a very integral part of a good villain. I think otherwise they come across as flat and pretty boring, I think.
Mm. So yes, Kreis is now chaos.
Yeah.
Self-interest.
And
which is an interesting antagonist to have.
Well, yeah, it makes him more interesting. I was just about to say that. It really does.
Yeah, much more interesting than you killed my brother, prepare to die.
Prepare to die.
Yeah, I do like that he whipped that out, though, as part of his deception with Scorpius.
Yeah.
My brother was now avenged, and Scorpius like rolls his eyes.
It's like, this guy, Jesus.
Yeah, those two are fun playing off of each other. So do we have anything else? Any more theme stuff?
The other thing I've got on theme is just that, as I said, so rebellion, being misled by someone who doesn't really have their best interest at heart, which is very much a adolescence thing that a lot of people have experienced. I experienced that.
Oh, hell yeah.
And yeah, so Sara, as you touched on choice and whatnot,
I'll be curious to see where the season goes with that, because I think that some of the most interesting bits of media that I've seen that deal with choice also definitely don't shy away from the consequences. We've got a lot of consequences incoming from this episode that I'm looking forward to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's the thing. I was satisfied with this episode, but it left me wanting more.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. It's like, I want to know where the story is going.
Yeah. It
Very
didn't
excited about that.
It almost ended in a similar way to the last episode, except I guess less peril, but just like a holy shit, what the hell is gonna happen?
Yeah, and now we have a new normal.
2020? What's our new normal?
Well, we have Scorpius as is in the command carrier.
Oh, and he's like the new head villain, I guess.
We no longer have Talon as the baby that needs caring for. He's now gone, and Omoya is grieving. Everybody has lost something, even down to our ship lost her son.
Yeah.
We have Kreis out there as another antagonist.
Yeah. It's essentially a restructuring of everything, I guess.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a shifting thing, and John and Dargo are now absolutely definitely friends.
Buddies.
Oh yeah.
Bros.
They have bonded.
As a bromance going on there, for sure.
Yeah. And what do we think of where things are with Aaron and John?
I like it.
Yeah, I mean, they're gonna end up together. They are so gonna screw again, I guarantee it. I don't know. They're clearly frustrated with each other, but I think they're so frustrated with each other because they love each other so much.
Yeah, but they don't quite seem to be in the place to have that conversation.
No,
they can have they can have some of the conversation, but
it's just there's too much going on then that is far more important. Yeah,
I think there's also maybe a bit of a internal how much, because they're both kind of all over the place.
Yeah,
it's like they're in a seriously committed casual romantic friendship. And I'm here for it. I like it. I mean, it still is very like supportive and affirming, and even in this episode when John was trying to stop with Grace, like ultimately he still held to that like she gets to make her own choices line in the sand that he's drawn previously with her, and but also like reflected that back towards her when he was like, you always have a choice. There are always choices.
And what did we think of did you feel there was a certain tension between Aaron and Grace, or that they were trying to present one?
I think I got the feeling that Grace is really wanting to sort of entice Aaron back into, you know, the dark side, so to speak. And Aaron is just like, fuck you, man.
Yeah, no, it wasn't as overt his leering as it was in Family Ties. But there was definitely a bit of like command.
Yeah.
Yeah, wink wink.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I think it's a good time for what was your favorite part?
Okay, initially I was going to say that my favorite part was Chiana leaping into John's arms, which I do love. But now that we've talked about it, I really love the final transmission chat between Grace and Scorpius. It's just so it was just really fun and I love how Scorpius got so pissed off. It was cool to see Grace really get under his skin, because Scorpius often seems very like cold and calm and calculated. So it was fun to see him kind of like snap and get flustered. And just there, like the dialogue, everything about it was just great. Josh, what about you, sir?
I think it was as will come as no surprise to anybody, it was definitely the cuddle fest at the very end of the episode, but among John and Aaron and Pilot, all just sort of comforted each other and mourned each other, and you know, just even forced each other to confront some biases that they didn't realize they'd been carrying around. Like that was just a really lovely way to close the episode.
I'm going with Dargo at the beginning. Just himbo Dargo, the paper scissors rock on his own, and the I have eyes as well, and they are glad to see your face, and just I just really appreciate the silly Dargo in amongst all the serious stuff. It just feels like a really nice balance to me. So the next episode in 2 weeks is called Vita Mortis.
Oh, Life and Death, I think. Vita Mortis.
Living Death?
I think, is it the Water of Death? It's one of those things. Yeah, Will.
Life and Death, Living Dead, something. Yeah, I don't know.
Something about that. We'll talk about we'll talk about it then. And then following that is an episode called Taking the Stone, and we may have a guest for that one.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, we shall see if that works out. So, where can people find you? We forgot to do this last episode. Jack, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at lackofsurprise1. That's all one word with the number 1 at the end. You can find me over on Discord in our official Muppet Sex and Trauma Discord server. Instagram, I don't use it very, very often, but I'm at Jack Kramme there, all lowercase, one word. Josh, what about you, sir?
You know, I like to find myself a nice quiet corner of Instagram and do a little bit of cooking, talk a little bit of self-care. It's just at Josh Gosdin. That's all you gotta do is just head on over there. What about you, Sara?
I am on YouTube under the Costume Codex. I hope to have a video out soon, because I've had a bunch of scripts in my head. But, you know, trying to get them out into actual things, it's complicated.
The struggle is real.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter, possibly complaining over a lot about bad Jane Austen adaptations, although that's probably going to be a dated reference by the time this comes out. And,
It's all relevant. It's all there.
yeah, and that's Bluestock and Sara on Twitter. And you can find us at Muppet Sex and T1 on Twitter, or Muppet Sex and Trauma at gmail.com. And
That's all down
you
there.
can join our Patreon. And
Yes.
we would love to hear from the patrons what episodes they might like us to live react to this season.
Mhm.
And you can also, if you put it in the spoiled in the spoiler section of our Discord, please come and tell me what you're looking forward to the guys being introduced to this season.
Yeah, just remember, Josh and I are completely unspoiled. We have no
Yes.
idea what's going on.
That is for
and-
the spoiler section, so that only I can see it, not for any of the places where the guys might see it.
Mhm.
Okay.
Alrighty.
Thank you, friends.
We'll see you next time.
Bye, y'all. Woo!
Yes. 2. It
Hang
is
on.
Muppeteer, sexier, and more traumatizing.
More traumatic, yeah.
Did you just
Sorry.
find a piece of like chili in your mouth there, Josh?
No, it was just a beard hair that I had on the tip of my tongue, but I felt like it might have looked weird if I was picking my tongue on YouTube.
Leave
But
it
if you want
in.
to leave all this in,
Leave it
then
in.
great, that's fine.